describe an advanced soul, and anybody who's advanced has some engages in some kind of worship. Worship really is a kind of expression of gratitude, isn't it? When you're offering a flame to the or to the Guru, Prabhupada in our case, when you are offering any of the paraphernalia, agarbatti or whatever, you're saying thank you. You're offering something pleasing to her. Today would have been a good day if we all had chamara fans. Would have come in really handy. That would have been pleasing. So this is what Ambarish is all about. And he was accompanied by his wife. Wherever there's a king, usually there's a queen. Or where there is a queen, there's going to be a king. And they're going to hopefully work things together. They'll be in a cooperative mode. And they observe some of like the Kadashi and Dwadashi, which has to do with observing the fast on grains, beans, legumes, those kind of things, right? Because that everyone's clear on that, right? Some people are very confused because when you go to different places in India, they have different standards of what is a Kadashi, what you can eat, what you cannot eat. Like, we have one Pujari at the Toronto Temple. He said, "Oh, I can't offer this. I can't offer that. I can't. So that everything's cooked. I can't do this. I can't do that." So what are you supposed to do? Yeah. And according to his standard or his experience, you can't offer cumin seeds. You can't offer any seeds. You know, maybe not even offer salt, which would be really pathetic, very extreme. You can't offer banyan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in some places. So there's different standards based on the region in India. And also, you're supposed to do a little more reading according to Prabhupada's directive. Increase your devotional service, chant a few more rounds. Devotees were very serious about that in the old days. What we were not serious about is that breaking fast at 6:39 in the morning. Or like they gave you a window, you should break fast from 5:13 point something. I'm exaggerating a little bit. Up until 8:45 point. Okay. We never did that. Yeah. That came later on. Prabhupada just had us break fast at breakfast.
Breakfast.
Does it make any sense?
Yeah.
And usually that time frame is within the general limitations. I personally don't know. When they introduced this whole thing, devotees were coming to me, and somebody got Maharaj, here's a rice kernel you can eat to break the fast. Okay? That kind of stuff. Really, please, give me a break. That's splitting hairs. It's really being too finicky, in my opinion. Now, what about Bhakti? What is our standard? What can we? You can't eat that kind of a cake. I was in Yamuna Devi's, Govind, I was at her house, and it was a cottage. And I asked her, because she was Prabhupada's cook for many things, what is the standard? Can you dig seeds or can you not? Can you, like some people, you can't even eat mustard seeds, which is become, jina, So I asked her, what was Prabhupada's standard on this? And he said, well, he would just accept whatever the standard was wherever he had been visiting. He didn't make a carte blanche. It's got to be just this way, and for all times, all seasons. Yamuna Devi was saying he just accepted what was the standard of that locality. And what she did say, part two, is that he was emphasized devotion. So when it comes to kind of details, clothes, going so meticulously, it wasn't always a big concern. Yes, punctuality for deity worship, being on time for the artis. Yeah, he was quite finicky about that. Prabhupada got trained by the Scotsmen and the Britishmen, to know that you've got to be on time. But as far as other details goes, he wasn't so finicky. Even, somebody went and got some fruit, and they just offered and started eating it. Prabhupada indicated, at least at one time, it's in Ari's diary, that is not so important, Cooked food. He was talking more about cooked food. One devotee also was in the train, and it was time now to get devotees were in the train for a while. So one of the Mataji's put up this big altar, and Prabhupada was watching it like this, and, going all out, like, some kind of structure in, that little compartment, right? And Prabhupada, this is not necessary, he said. I heard another devotee give a class in the Bhagavatam, and someone was complaining, Prabhupada, there's hing or asvatita in this preparation, or like a sabji. And Prabhupada, we are not fanatics. So, there's a lot of cases like that. And I think I've told this story before. Prabhupada went to see a lady who invited the American devotees for a prasadam, right? So she didn't know all the rules so strictly. There were onions in there. And so Prabhupada said, eat. There's onions in the sabji. He gave a little bit of a gesture, you go ahead, because it was more important for him to win that lady over so she could become a life member, she could become a devotee, that sort of thing. That was important to him. Apart from, just these little details, not to worry. Sometimes we sometimes say, oh, you can't fry that sabji, or let's say that pakora, grainless pakora, in the ghee, because it was someone cooked like with gram masala, or let's say what do you call it? Chickpea flour, right? And the day before. Even though it was kind of like cleaned out. And some people get so finicky about this. This can actually ruin your devotional life when you get so meticulous, Also scares a lot of people. I can't. Can I breathe? Can I move? Can I sit in the chair? Like, it gets to be like a little bit fanatical, right? Now, it's good to pay attention to details. Prabhupada did want us to do that, but it depends on the circumstances. I mean, honestly, when I was traveling with two brahmacharis, we were finishing walking the U.S. We had Nebraska to finish. We had Colorado. We had Nevada, and then finally California. And we'd have wraps every day. Like we have wraps every day. And Anutama Senior came to join us for 4 days. That was so nice of him, to support what we were doing. And our wraps were out of this world. And Anutama said he was Mangalananda, you know him, right? Mangalananda, yeah. He was making the wraps, and every time he said, "This is the best wrap maker in the world." So one of our ingredients was hummus, and not Hamas, but hummus. And there's a little bit of garlic in it or something like that. And we had no choice. We're on the road. We can't cook our own. So we just accept, and it was good. It was great. It's like a medicine. We took it like hard garlic is like a medicine for you. Yeah. And so there was no problem for him, there was no problem for us, and it just kept us going. So I'm just telling you, time, place, circumstance. I think that's really important. Desha, kala, patra. Desha's place, kala, time, circumstance, patra. Have to look at it like that. So I'm just giving some examples of where you can bend a little bit. It's okay to bend. You know who bends?
Krishna.
Yeah. Woo. He bends, but he keeps the balance. Have you ever noticed that about his posture? You know, he goes like this. He's got weight on this side. He puts his head out this way, so weight goes on that side. And when it comes to the legs, it's all quite balanced, even though he's bent. You know, so that's we have to. I'm just give, optically, that's what it's all about, and also psychologically, it has to be like that for devotees too. We have to like time, place, circumstance. Like some devotees are really committed. Oh, you know, I just had, you know, a pundit who came here and he was looking at the bus too, you know, and your door is on the wrong side of the building. So, well, that's the way we bought it. That's the way it came, you know. So, oh, it's not good. You know, you get those kind of people, you know, that everything busted. It's all wrong, you know. The whole building's busted, like off of the Vastu line. So, you know, I'm honestly Prabhupada didn't, you know, fall for that. You know, that was not his mood. That was not his mood, his spirit. You have to catch up on the spirit. Now, maybe I'll, you know, kind of sum it up with this one last statement. Then we can open up for your discussions. Now, you know when Prabhupada was talking about one American woman, he said, why is there a need for another translation of Bhagavad Gita in English? Because around that time, they probably were around 600. You can imagine now, so many decades later, how many versions of Bhagavad Gita are there. You know? Like even Ranch, or my godfather, he put a real nice little Gita, you know, he called it the Bhagavad Gita, Conversations with God and the Soul, or something like that. You know? It's really well done. And I have another godbrother, his name's Garuda. He put a Bhagavad Gita together as well, you know, in a language that people can understand. And you could also write a Bhagavad Gita, you know, for dummies, Gita for dummies, you know. And it would be okay, you know, because Prabhupada wanted us to put everything in our own words. So, but the conclusion has to be right on. The conclusion is surrender to Krishna and so on like that. So that's where Prabhupada was explaining, he said there was a need, because even though they may be scholarly presentations, but they fail to carry the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita. That's the point. If you could always remember that, failed to carry the spirit. The spirit is very important. And so that's that's how we view things, you know. I mean, sometimes people get very fanatical, smart to Brahman alike, and I say, come on, please, this is not his mood. You know, the world's falling apart. If you get so finicky, no one will join you. They just say that. They already have a problem with the four regular principles. What to speak of all the other fine details, you know. And maybe for yourself you want to be a little strict, but don't be too much imposing on the rest of the world, you know. Whether it's people on planet Earth or the Martians and Mars, you know. I mean, just be a little kind, for God's sake. In fact, you know, people told four regular principles, even like maybe three regular principles, even one regular principle, you're doing really good. Really good. You know, I mean, we have to recognize that and pat people on the back. You know, I wrote in one of my poems about, and this is the last thing I said, we'll open it up. On my second walk across Canada, and that was when I came here, I was walking across Canada. This was part of my route. Anyways, I started in Newfoundland, right? And there was a fellow, his name was Johnny. it's a common name. People have Irish descent in Newfoundland, mostly. They look different. They're not just Britishers. They're a little shorter. Their facial structures are different. You notice these things after a while, right? And so Johnny, uh, he said, "Oh, you're Christian, right? George Harris, all that stuff." And then I said, "I feel really good about myself. You know? I feel really good." He says, "Why are you feeling good?" "Because I stopped drinking." I said, "Well, when did you stop drinking?" "This morning." You know, the commitment didn't have much
time.
mileage to it. So I thought that was really funny, and I'm just mentioning it about details. So somebody's making, I patted him on the back because he's making an endeavor. And you saw that guy earlier on. Big guy, like balloons, you know? Balloons for the legs, and you know, balloon here, balloon, there, balloon, everywhere, balloon. But he was sweating, and he was really trying, you know. People have to be rewarded for trying. Okay, so Ambarish Maharaj and his queen were, she was also equally qualified. They were into worship, and they were trying to be attentive to details when they were dealing with Duravasamuni. And Duravasamuni is the epitome of smart Brahmanism. And you have to watch out when he comes around. So probably don't breathe. Still a fine fault with these things. Those are some of the points we want to, let's say, present to you this morning. And we have our limited time here. Anybody who has a question, this is going to be my talking stick. You know, what the indigenous people used to do, they'd have an eagle's feather.
Oh.
And anybody who's talking, we acknowledge them. And so this is, they call it the talking stick. So this is our talking stick. Compliments of
Use like a mic.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for this flower and the wonderful talk.
You have to give that.
I had this question for some time now.
Okay.
That what is the difference? How do we make a difference between someone who is trying to be a strict devotee, you know, a serious, sincere one, and a fanatic devotee?
Well, I think a serious devotee is one who may impose upon himself or herself some of these strictures. You know, be serious, you know, be a little strict with yourself. Be a little easy on everybody else. Right? I think that's, you know, it's when people impose and on others, and they're very rigid on other people. Be rigid on yourself, okay? You know, but take it easy with others. So I think that's one way to answer the question. Is that okay?
Yes, that helps.
Okay, talking stick. Who's next?
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the wonderful class. I have a very similar question that once there was a newcomer and somebody gave him a new beats from the Tirsa Sangha.
Yeah.
And I once noticed that he was chanting in the washroom. And I asked him that why are you chanting? He said, you can do chant anywhere. It doesn't matter. I said, well, there are some rules that we should not chant in some places like that. So Krishna's name can be taken anywhere. So how can we know that we should follow rules, and how can we tell others that these are the rules that we should follow and like that?
Yes, I mean, yeah, there's some basic, like say, Prabhupada common sense.
Comments.
You know, you don't bring articles, Bhagavad Gita, and on the toilet while you're passing stool. Because, you know, it'll be more purifying if I do that, you know. The bowels will be happier. You know, that could be somebody's way of thinking, you know. So I think we use common sense. Use common sense, and you know, even like when maybe Govinda Swami was coming, when he came, and he sat in Prabhupada's sitting quarters, sitting where you have classes sometimes. Prabhupada put something on the prasadam that was given to him because the washroom was next door.
Oh.
We also, one time, one of our sannyasis came over, Lokanath Swami was back many years ago, and he needed some water. So we actually got water right out of the tap, We got water right out of the tap. And for him, that's like, no. Because in India, you don't take water out of the tap, where the toilet is nearby. But those were also the days when you didn't have those dispensers, and the water's clean. Like, the water that we have, it's from the lake, like way out there. There was a time there was a lot of chlorine coming in, but then they penetrated way deep into the lake, so it's a lot cleaner. And it is not bad, really.
It is
by
good.
world standards.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
I prefer drinking tap water.
Yeah, to what's in the bottle, the plastic bottles.
Yeah.
Cancer, water. Is what you're looking at. Yeah, it's not perfect water, but it's the best you can get. So, does that answer the question?
Yes, Swami.
Okay. Just use common sense. Sacred object you're trying to avoid. I explained to you. I go to airports all the time. I have to bring my beads in. I can't leave it
Leave
anywhere.
it anywhere. Yeah.
And they have strict rules. You can't leave anything away from you. You have to be holding on to everything. So you just keep it in the bag. Keep it, do your thing, and just use common sense. Have to keep everything clean.
One more question.
I mean, we have like a Brahman's thread. You've got a Brahman's thread, right? Okay, you go with the Brahman's thread into the washer because you're not supposed to take it off. And neck beads don't be Maharaj, right? So that's just common sense. But you loop the Brahman's thread over your ear so that it doesn't hang low and touches objects. Anyways, washrooms are oftentimes a little bit cleaner than in the land of butter. Okay, so these are practical questions you're asking. What else do you have?
Here, there are some basic rules, and then there are rules that are like very strict. How much does those rules helps in
Significance. Well, again, you use some common sense. Basic rules are, what ISKCON teaches, right? You go to the nectar devotion, you should wear red in the temple room.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen people wear red in the temple room.
All the time.
You avoid it, yeah. Red. there's
Even
other
black, I guess?
Colors. What's that?
even black? I guess.
Black, yes. Right. There's some, the Sanatana Swami is strictly, there are a few things like that. Yeah. And the reasoning behind it, I mean, it's left to speculation, but I guess it's loud or it's distracting. Red is something Krishna wear, any couple. I wouldn't worry about that too much. And we also have the Chaturmasya, 4 months of the rainy season, and 1 month you're supposed to not eat greens. For God's sakes, it's July. And we're a slow, short growing season here. And then there's one, it's more applicable to like Bengal and the eastern part. And then there's 1 month where you're not supposed to take Uridol.
Yeah.
Well, who cares? Who cares for Uridol anyways, right? And then there's supposed to be 1 month where you don't take yogurt, and that's the hottest month of the year.
Right before the mother, right?
And one,
those kind of things.
one for milk also.
One for milk. Yeah. Okay. I think we to hurry along this.
Yeah.
Have to get going. Okay. Anybody else? Any other?
I can do reflection. You want to do reflection after? Emphasize devotion more than like considering more detail.